Now we need to restyle the logo and make a few minor layout adjustments before we can start adding in some JavaScript. Now in the previous course, we added a semi-transparent background to the logo because the navigation element was being moved from the top of the screen down to below the content, which means we didn't have that interplay with the semi-transparency for the logo. But now that we have the navigation element in the header area at all times, we can go back into our CSS and change those properties to make the logo semi-transparent. So let's go back to our CSS file. Let's make sure we're inside of the media query, which is targeting a maximum width of 625. Let's find the header logo. Let's find the width property. And let's come in here and let's change the width to 125 pixels. Let's come over to the height. Let's set this to 52 pixels. Next, for the left positioning property, we're going to set that to 10. The top property, we're going to set that to 10. And then we're going to come in here and get rid of all of the background properties, background color, size, and position. And by deleting these, this item will pick up properties that were set earlier in the CSS. So with this in place, let's scroll down. Let's find the media query targeting a maximum width of 425. Let's find the header logo. Inside of here, let's come in and let's set the height to 26 pixels. Let's also add another property of width. We'll set a width to 126 pixels. And next for background, let's come in here and change background to background-image. Let's get rid of the background color. Let's keep the URL pointing to logosmall.svg. Let's get rid of the repeat and the X and Y position properties. So we simply want to just change the background image. Just like before, we want to pick up the other background properties set earlier in the CSS. And that also includes coming down here and removing the background size. So now with the width, height, and background image set, we're going to add another property. Let's come in and add a top property of 15 pixels. So now in this smallest screen size, we want to make a few additional adjustments. Let's come down here and let's find the div with a class of hero. Let's change the top property to 58 pixels. Then we'll scroll down. Right before the footer, I'll add another CSS comment here. We'll just call this nav. Let's come in here and let's create a rule that targets the nav element. And what we need to do here is adjust the padding to give us room for the logo. So we'll come in here and we'll add padding top of 30 pixels. And then we're going to set the mobile menu to position to the right hand side of the screen. So we'll type nav space a.mobile menu, put in our brackets. We have a left property that we set earlier. So we're going to reset that by setting the left property to auto. Then we'll set a right property of 40 pixels, then a space. Top property, we're going to set this to 8 pixels. And then finally, we're going to override that margin left property that we used as an offset so we could center it earlier. So we'll set margin left and we'll put that back to 0 pixels. So now with all of these rules in place, back to the browser, let's hit reload. We can now see our Everyday Things logo showing up in the upper left-hand corner. If we open this up, we can see the previous sizes. And then if I scroll down to the smallest screen size, we can see that we're switching out the logo for the smaller version. And we can see that our mobile menu is now positioning over to the right-hand side of the screen. Now we're ready to add JavaScript to our project and activate the mobile menu.